Thanks for babysitting during spring break.
I was dumbfounded by my sister's sudden appearance at my house. Huh? What are you talking about? As I instinctively asked, the next moment, I was shocked.
I left him in the backyard shed.
Trembling with fear, I hurried there. As I hastily opened the shed door, an unfamiliar stench filled the air. What is this smell? And before me lay a horrifying sight. All I could do was tremble in despair. My name is Angela. I'm a 36-year-old part-time housewife and a teacher at the local high school. My husband, Steve, is a typical, earnest office worker. He's very kind and actively helps with household chores at home. Both my parents have passed away, and we have no children, so it's just the two of us in my parents' house. When I expressed my desire to live in the house where I grew up, Steve agreed without hesitation. Surrounded by fields and very quiet, our surroundings are serene. It's an important place to me. But this peaceful life has become quite noisy recently. I have a younger sister, Emily, who is a constant source of trouble. Hey, you're here again?
It's fine, isn't it? You're happy to see Mike, right? He's your cute nephew after all.
My sister is a housewife, and she, along with her husband Brian and their 8-year-old son Mike, lives nearby. And ever since her husband started working away from home due to a transfer 6 months ago, she's been constantly dropping by our place. She claims she feels more at ease at our parents' house, but that's a blatant lie. She dumps the care of her son on me and quickly goes off to have fun herself. Mike takes after his father Brian, being serious and smart, far beyond his 8 years. He already has a cell phone and handles it adeptly, which is quite impressive. That's amazing. Did Mom buy that for you?
Dad got it for me without telling Mom.
As my nephew opened the zipper of his small bag to put away his cell phone inside, there were apples and bananas. It turns out he prepared them himself so as not to inconvenience me, not because Emily asked him to. I couldn't help but admire his intelligence, but at the same time, seeing my nephew apologize every time he's brought over by Emily fills me with indescribable emotions. Yet, when it comes to Emily,
Take care of him again today.
she says so without a hint of remorse, leaving Mike behind and heading somewhere. Hey! Cut it out already. Aren't you his mother? Don't you feel sorry for Mike? Because it happened so often, I scolded Emily firmly, but her attitude only escalated. When there was a school holiday,
You're off work, right?
and she would leave Mike without waiting for my response. Even when I said I couldn't because of my club activities at school, she wouldn't listen.
Then I'll ask your husband. It's fine.
In the end, she even said that. Steve's tired from work too, you know?
Then you take care of him, big sis.
Steve, being my sister's brother-in-law, couldn't assert himself against Emily. Moreover, he loves children, and perhaps he feels sorry for Mike. He happily took care of my nephew when I was at work. But the kinder Steve was, the more guilty I felt towards him.
I'm going home. I'll be fine by myself.
Perhaps sensing the atmosphere, my nephew said so, but I couldn't leave an 8-year-old alone.
Sorry, Auntie.
Why are you apologizing? I'm happy to have you here, Mike.
Mom doesn't like me.
That's not true. Even though I denied it, my nephew remained with a gloomy expression. Seeing that face, my heart ached, but at the same time, I felt irritated towards my sister for making her child say such things. However, Emily pays no mind to me or Mike's feelings. Leaving her son at our house and not returning until late at night became the norm. Despite my growing anger, I was swept into my sister's pace, unable to scold her, and spent my days feeling frustrated. Then, after some time passed, it was the day before the start of spring break. I received a call from my sister.
Hey sis, school's out tomorrow, right? Can you take care of Mike for about a week?
Here we go again, I sighed. But what on earth could be happening that would require a mother to leave her child for a whole week? No, I can't. I've told you before, even during breaks, teachers still have to work. Besides, a whole week? Are you planning to be hospitalized or something? I asked out of concern.
No way. I'm perfectly fine. There's just something I absolutely can't miss.
My sister's voice over the phone was lively, unable to conceal her excitement. But even when I asked about the crucial matter, she laughed it off. I instantly knew it was some nonsense. Sorry. I've told you it's impossible. I won't be here for a week either, starting from tomorrow, due to a club activity training camp. I thought my sister would give up after hearing this, but she said,
Then I'll ask your husband.
Don't be ridiculous. Steve has a regular job, and he's actually going on a business trip for 2 weeks starting tomorrow. So, he can't take care of Mike.
What? What's more important than a trip or a business trip? Mike should come first, shouldn't he?
I'll return those exact words to you. Some things are just impossible. Give it up this time. I ended the conversation with my sister in a stern tone, exasperated by her selfish reasoning, and forcefully hung up. Surely, Emily would give up on this, I thought. But at that moment, I underestimated my sister. I would later painfully realize how naive I was. A week later, I returned home after the club trip. For the students, it was a fun and rewarding training camp, but for the accompanying teacher, it was a week full of responsibility and exhaustion. Despite it being spring, the unusually high temperatures drained both my energy and stamina. That was tough. I collapsed onto the sofa, exhausted, throwing my bags aside. But just then, the doorbell rang, and when I answered it, there stood my sister. I thought she had brought her son again, but surprisingly, she was alone.
Thanks for babysitting during spring break.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. You were taking care of Mike, right?
I had completely forgotten about the phone call with my sister a week ago. But I distinctly remembered refusing her request. What on earth was Emily talking about? I stared at her, dumbfounded. However, the next moment, a shocking truth emerged.
I left Mike in the backyard shed. Didn't you see the note I left on the door?
Huh?
Don't mess around. I'm busy. Where's Mike? Is he taking a nap?
My sister glanced around anxiously toward the back room, and then her eyes landed on my abandoned suitcase.
Hey, what's this? What's going on? You didn't really go on that trip, did you?
I did. It's work.
What? What kind of selfish thing are you doing? Even though I asked you to take care of my son, going on a trip is unacceptable. Isn't Mike more important than work?
As my sister yelled angrily, I felt deeply shaken. I hurriedly left the house and headed for the backyard. There stood an old warehouse-like shed that had been there since before I was born. During elementary school, I used to play treasure hunt with my friends inside. But all that was inside now were old junk. Since my parents passed away, I rarely went inside. As my sister had said, there was indeed a note on the shed door. "It's Mike here, so take care of him. The key is back, so don't worry." What is this? Did you really lock Mike in here?
I told you it's exactly as it says.
Why on earth did you do something like that? I told you I'd be away for work for a week, didn't I? Trembling with anger, I glared at my sister.
I had an urgent matter to attend to, so I asked for a favor.
A week ago, when my sister visited our house, she thought I would return immediately after departing for the trip. Since she forgot the key to our parents' house, she locked my nephew in the shed so he couldn't get out. Since there was nothing worth stealing, the shed key had been left inside a bag hanging on the outside wall. I picked it up trembling and quickly opened the door. At that moment, a terrible stench wafted out from inside. The smell was so repulsive that it made me hesitate to enter the shed. Holding my breath, I cautiously peered inside, but there seemed to be nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. "Mike?" I called out softly, but there was no response. Suppressing the urge to retch with my sleeve over my nose, I mustered the courage to step into the shed. And there, I discovered the source of the foul odor and screamed in shock. My sister seemed to sense something was wrong with me.
Hey! If something happens to Mike, it's all your responsibility. I'm not at fault at all.
With that, Emily turned her back and ran off from there. Hey, wait. I panicked at the shocking scene I had just witnessed and the irresponsibility of my sister, who ran away leaving me alone. What should I do? But at that moment, my phone rang in my pants pocket, and I was informed of an unexpected truth. 2 hours later, I called my sister's cell phone. "Listen, what you did was outrageous. After causing such a mess, you had the nerve to leave me and run away."
Who's the one being outrageous here? It's not my fault if you went to work and left Mike behind. Besides,
she rattled off selfish excuses without a hint of remorse, like a machine gun. I've had enough. That's not the point right now. Come home immediately. We need to talk about Mike's funeral. My words seemed to startle my sister, as she audibly gasped on the phone. But it was only for a brief moment.
Fine. But I'll never forgive you, sister. You'll have to pay for this. Get ready.
With that, my sister hung up. Humph. That's rich coming from you. I've put up with it for so long, but I won't forgive her anymore. Trembling with intense anger, I ignited my fighting spirit for the decisive battle against my nephew's enemy. An hour later, Emily arrived. "Where have you been all this time?"
I haven't been anywhere.
How can you act so casually after causing such a situation?
It's not my fault. You shouldn't have gone on the trip. That's it. I didn't do anything wrong.
Despite my pressing at the doorstep, my sister showed no remorse and boldly entered the house as if nothing had happened. But the moment she tried to open the door to the living room, she suddenly turned around and bolted out like a rabbit. "Hey, wait." Before I could even shout, a figure came rushing out from the living room and swiftly caught her. "Brian, thank you." The person who I thanked was Emily's husband, Brian. Upon hearing about my nephew, he immediately rushed over from his place. My sister reluctantly returned to the living room, sitting down in front of us with a sullen look. "Do you realize what you've done? Emily's irresponsibility has caused a lot of trouble. You've hurt Mike."
Huh? Don't blame me. It's not my fault that you ignored my request.
Even so, locking a child in a shed and leaving him there is unforgivable. Think about how Mike must have felt.
What's wrong with that? The shed protects from rain and wind. It's better than leaving him outside, isn't it?
Although my sister momentarily quieted down with Brian's appearance, her inherent audacity quickly resurfaced. I was astounded by her shamelessness. But this was all expected. I decided to change the direction of my interrogation. "By the way, where were you this past week, leaving Mike alone at my house?" This question clearly hit a nerve with Emily, as her face twitched in response. "Oh. You look pale. Can't say, huh? Maybe you were off on a romantic trip with a man." And just like that, her earlier confidence vanished, and I thrust my phone in front of Emily, who looks pale and speechless now. There, on the screen, were images of my sister and an unfamiliar young man walking arm in arm in her neighborhood.
No, that's not it. He's just an old college friend.
Oh really? You're doing all this with just a friend? As I slid the screen, it revealed even more revealing images, showing the two of them passionately kissing in public.
This was just a celebration of our encounter. We went out for drinks and got carried away while drunk. There's nothing more to it.
Oh really? But actually, there's also an audio recording. As I manipulated my phone, the voices of a man and a woman came through.
"Looking forward to the trip."
My son is on spring break, so I'll leave him with my sister.
The female voice unmistakably belonged to Emily. Now, there's no escaping. But you're quite something. Taking advantage of Brian's absence, to lock your son in the shed and go on a romantic trip.
No, I don't know. That's not my voice.
You're showing a poor attitude at this point. So why did you run away when you saw Brian earlier? Is it because you have something to hide? Confronted with the evidence presented and my intense questioning, my sister trembled uncontrollably. Yet still, she refused to admit anything.
This is your conspiracy. To evade responsibility for what happened to Mike, you fabricated fake evidence.
What are you talking about? I just got back from the club activity camp. I didn't have time to prepare something like this.
Well, it must be Steve, right? Your husband works in the IT industry, doesn't he? He can easily fabricate such evidence.
Don't be ridiculous. My husband is on a business trip for 2 weeks, remember?
So what? It doesn't matter where he is. As long as he sends the data, he doesn't need to come back.
I sighed in exasperation at my sister's stubbornness. Hey, Emily. Do you recognize whose phone this is?
Whose? Yours, right?
Nope. Actually, this is Mike's cell phone.
Huh? What are you talking about, Mike's? That's impossible. I never gave him a cell phone in the first place.
My sister burst into laughter, looking triumphant as she glanced at me. But that expression didn't last long. If you're saying so, why don't we ask him directly?
Huh?
As I called out down the hallway that it's time to come, the door to the living room slowly opened. And there stood none other than my nephew, Mike.
Mike? Why? You were supposed to be dead.
No way. My sister was terribly shocked to see that her son was alive, almost as if she were seeing a ghost. You don't understand what happened, right? Let me explain so even Emily can understand. Mike was told by his mother that I would come to pick him up, and he was left behind in the shed. Filled with fear, his heart raced, and he tried to push or pull the door open, but nothing worked. Since my sister had locked it, it was only natural. So, he searched for another way out to the outside. What he found was a small window at a slightly higher position. Using an old chair nearby as a platform, he climbed up and easily opened the window, thankfully not rusted, with his own strength. He escaped through there and made his way 10 miles to his aunt's house. My aunt seemed extremely surprised by Mike's sudden arrival. After hearing the situation, she immediately tried to contact me, but Mike stopped her. Apparently, he had overheard the phone conversation between my sister and me and knew that I was going on the trip. So, he persuaded my aunt not to interfere with my work. And when Auntie heard the day I was coming back from the trip, she called me and brought him here.
Why did you lie about the funeral then? It's cruel to deceive like that.
Well, if I didn't say that, would you have come here? And if Mike had stayed in the shed, we might have actually been preparing for a funeral by now.
Wait a minute. Then what was that smell about? You screamed so loudly at that time, didn't you?
That was just me being surprised by finding a dead bird. The source of the foul smell that drifted out when the shed door opened turned out to be the decaying corpse of a bird. According to Brian, a bird had accidentally stumbled into the shed through the escape window, got injured somehow, and perhaps died from the impact. And due to the unseasonable rise in temperature, it had decomposed.
Then, does that mean Mike took those photos and recorded the audio?
My sister's face, upon learning that her son had been given a cell phone by his father, lost all color in shock.
Mike, why would you do such a thing? What do you want to do to Mom?
Perhaps feeling frightened by his mother's words, Mike quickly hid behind me. Seeing that, my sister became angry and threw the TV remote at him. What are you doing?
Shut up! It's because of him betraying me!
Next, she tried to throw the teacup on the table at Mike. Stop it. I grabbed my sister's arm and took it away.
What are you doing? Let me go!
Emily, do you know how Mike felt? Locked in a shed, neglected by his own mother. You only care about yourself even now.
Shut up! You, who've never given birth to a child, don't understand anything.
I don't want to hear that from someone like you, Emily. You're unfit to be a mother. As I scolded my sister fiercely, she resisted. It was Brian who stopped the escalating sisterly fight. He took out a divorce paper from the bag nearby and handed it to my sister.
Huh? I don't understand what this divorce paper means.
But Brian's face was deadly serious. It's no wonder. Neglecting your child and being lost in another man. Brian never dreamed his wife would cheat on him while living apart. To neglect her own child for the sake of being with her affair partner is unacceptable as a human being. How dare you live such a despicable life to this point? Now, reflect on it properly at the police station. Right after that, we heard sirens from afar. I reported to the police just before Emily arrived here. I told them everything about what you did to Mike.
Huh? That's a lie, right?
To regret what you did. Then, my sister seemed shocked, lowered her head, and started mumbling something. But it was only for a moment.
I'm not at fault. It's all your fault. Damn it.
Huh? The next moment, she flew into a rage, lifted a nearby armchair high, and tried to throw it at me. Whoa. However, Emily, thrown away forcefully by my brother-in-law, was slammed onto the floor with a pained expression. Seeing this, my nephew, who was behind me, approached my sister.
Goodbye.
He said with a cold expression I had never seen before. This is the end of living a selfish life. There's nothing left for you. No place to live, no one to rely on.
Ha ha.
My sister was restrained by her husband, her eyes lifeless as she looked bewildered. And I'm cutting ties with you today. You're no longer family or a sister. Never appear in front of any of us again.
But, big sis, I don't want that. Don't abandon me.
No, it's too late.
But, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My sister apologized while crying, but after all that has happened, there's no way I could forgive her. Reflect on it for the rest of your life.
No!
A few minutes later, the police arrived. Emily was taken away in the police car, escorted by us. Later, my sister was arrested for neglecting her child. She divorced her husband, paying him $30,000 in damages and $40,000 in child support, and the custody of the child was given to her husband, leaving her with nothing. Even after being released from prison, she would be left destitute. My sister's affair partner was also found by the police with information I provided, and he was arrested for turning a blind eye to the fact that childcare was not being done, and my brother-in-law even demanded $20,000 in damages from the cheating man. He's working multiple part-time jobs to repay it desperately. On the other hand, I live a peaceful life with my husband. We demolished the old shed and started a home garden together. Then, my nephew started living with his dad, who had returned from his business trip, and his grandparents, and he often comes over to our house happily helping out. I strongly feel that I will continue to watch over him closely from now on. How was today's story? Please subscribe to the channel as well. Well then, let's meet in the next video.